My fiancée texted me late on a Tuesday afternoon. The message popped up on my phone while I was in the middle of reviewing contracts at the office. It was short, casual, almost flippant. Wedding's still on, but I'm spending the last few nights before with my ex-boyfriend for closure. At first, I thought it was a joke. Who says something like that to the person they're about to marry? My eyes lingered on the words, reading them again and again. Each pass driving the knife a little deeper. Closure. That was the word she chose. Closure. As if the bond we had built, the promises we'd made, and the future we were planning meant so little she could throw it against the wall of someone else's bed and call it healing. I stared at my phone for a long time before replying. My fingers hovered, a storm inside me demanding to be unleashed. But anger wasn't what came out. Instead, I typed, "Do what you need to do." That was it. 5 words. No begging, no bargaining, no ultimatum. Just quiet acceptance on the surface, though inside me, something collapsed with a deafening crack. The moment I hit send, I leaned back in my chair and closed my eyes. Images of the past 2 years of our relationship rushed through me. Our first date at the corner cafe, the weekend trip to the mountains where I proposed, the nights we stayed up planning the details of our future. I thought about how she laughed when we toured venues, how she cried when she found her dress, how we sat with our families, weaving 2 lives together into one. And now, with a single text, she had unraveled it all. I didn't hesitate after that. I picked up the phone, dialed the venue, and canceled everything. My voice was calm, almost too calm, as I explained to the coordinator that the wedding would not be happening. There was a pause on the other end, the kind of silence that comes when someone senses a story behind the words but knows better than to ask. I hung up, and the reality settled in. There would be no aisle, no vows, no first dance. The life we were supposed to start together had already ended before it began. When she came home that evening, she acted as though nothing was wrong. She tossed her bag on the counter, smiled faintly, and asked if I had eaten. I looked at her, really looked, and I saw a stranger in the woman I had once thought was my partner. I asked if the text was serious. She shrugged, brushing it off as though it was the most natural thing in the world. "It's just closure," she said again. "Something I need before I can fully commit to you." Her words echoed in my chest like gunfire. Fully commit. As if the ring on her finger and the date circled on the calendar weren't commitment enough. As if I had to compete with her past in order to be her future. I told her I had canceled the wedding. For the first time, she looked shaken. "You what?" she asked, her voice cracking, her eyes wide with disbelief. "I canceled it," I repeated. "If you need closure with him, then you don't need forever with me." She tried to argue, tried to spin it into some twisted logic where I was supposed to wait patiently while she gave herself to another man in the name of emotional healing. She said I was being dramatic, that I didn't understand. But what I understood was crystal clear. Marriage is built on trust, and trust doesn't survive in the same bed as betrayal. The days that followed were heavy with silence. She moved through the apartment as if nothing had changed, still glued to her phone, still lost in her own world. But I no longer felt tied to her. I had already severed the rope, cut cleanly through the illusion of love that had once bound us. Friends and family called, confused by the sudden cancellation. I gave them simple answers, sparing them the humiliating details. Things didn't work out. I said, "Because how do you explain that the woman you were about to marry asked for one last fling with her ex and expected you to smile and play along?" Late at night, I replayed the text in my mind, those words glowing in the darkness. "Wedding's still on, but I'm spending the last few nights before my ex-boyfriend for closure." It wasn't just a betrayal of the act. It was the casual cruelty of the delivery, the assumption that I would accept crumbs and call them a meal. But I didn't accept it. And that, I realized, was my saving grace. The pain was real, yes. The betrayal was deep. But by canceling the wedding, by refusing to lower my worth to match her excuses, I had chosen myself. I had drawn a line in the sand and said, "This is where I end, and this is where you walk away." Weeks later, when she finally packed her things and left, I felt no anger, just a hollow relief, like a storm had passed and taken everything with it, leaving behind broken branches and scattered debris, but also fresh air. I'm not naive. I know healing takes time. I know there will be nights when loneliness creeps in, when the ghost of what might have been lingers too long. But I also know this. Better to be alone than to be with someone who asked for permission to betray you. Her closure became my clarity, and my clarity became freedom.